documented creeps. I dwell in the gloomy confines of Portland, Oregon, a city wrapped in perpetual mist, but the exigencies of my profession have a knack for whisking me away to far-flung urban jungles on weekends, sometimes detaining me for agonizingly elongated spans. My vocation bears an eerie semblance to that of an event maestro, compelling me to traverse the expanse of this nation, forever ensnared in the web of divergent gatherings. The corporation that employs me, a rapacious entity obsessed with financial expediency, footed the bill for my aerial sojourns. Yet, irrespective of my destination, they invariably relegated me to the most parsimonious flight available, resolutely bent on pinching every cent. While my frugal employer delighted in counting its amassed lucre, I grappled with a myriad of dismal in-flight ordeals. To assert that I encountered peculiar individuals would be the most egregious of understatements. However, in candor, I found solace in the eccentricity of my co-passengers. I reckoned, as long as I reached my terminus with body and soul intact, I could endure any uncanny companionship, or so I thought in those halcyon days. On an uninviting Sunday eve, I found myself ensconced within the austere confines of Dallas Airport, embarking on a journey homeward to the enigmatic state of Oregon. The work week had concluded, but my exertions had not, for Monday's demands weighed heavily upon my wearied shoulders. The tribulations of the weekend had drained me of vitality, and I navigated the terminal as though shackled to a phantom anchor. Let it be known that my voyage was bifurcated, for I would traverse the skies from Dallas to Sacramento before at last returning to the haven of Portland. The initial leg of my expedition unfolded with a curiously vacant cabin, wherein I nestled by the window, joined only by a nondescript middle-aged traveler whose garb bore the patina of age and neglect. Yet, in fairness, who among us endeavors to sartorial splendor for an aerial excursion? We exchanged decorous pleasantries for a fleeting moment. Although fatigue had bestowed upon me an overwhelming urge to rest my head against the cold, unforgiving fuselage, I extracted my mobile device, intending to stave off the encroaching slumber with digital diversions. However, a disconcerting murmur emanated from my fellow traveler, accompanied by a lingering, unflinching gaze directed in my direction. In a bid to dismiss my unease, I sought to attribute his actions to an innocuous fascination with the evening's aerial panorama. But within a span of moments, his muttered diatribes became unmistakably sinister. "Oh, great, just ignore me then," he mumbled, his voice tinged with vexation. These disconcerting utterances recurred with alarming frequency, causing my unease to mount. As my curiosity spiraled into the realm of apprehension, I noted his feverish, surreptitious scribbling within a leather-bound tome clutched tightly in his grasp. My surreptitious glances revealed a page densely populated with minuscule, indecipherable script. I strained my eyes to discern the words, but was met with inscrutable frustration, rendering repose all but impossible. In those harrowing moments, a chilling realization swept over me. The contents of this ominous ledger pertained to none other than myself. My name, unmistakably inscribed, sent tendrils of fear coiling around my psyche. I surmised that I must have inadvertently disclosed my name during our earlier discourse. Yet, my futile attempts to decipher the minute text concealed within the journal proved futile. Slumber remained an elusive specter, as I grappled with the disconcerting awareness that my malevolent co-passenger was chronicling my existence within the confines of his ominous tome. The implications of this sinister scrutiny cast a pall of dread over my beleaguered soul. Our arrival in Sacramento signaled the onset of my ordeal's next phase. Fellow travelers began their descent to terra firma, yet my peculiar seatmate exhibited no inclination to hasten his departure. As the minutes wore on and my anxiety swelled, it became evident that my connection flight was in jeopardy. Summoning the last vestiges of my courage, I addressed him with the urgency of my impending connection, beseeching him to gather his belongings and vacate his seat. Still, he remained seated, his gaze affixed to the floor, and in a hushed, ominous tone, he uttered words that froze the marrow in my bones. "I'm gonna follow you. You're not leaving this airport alive." A mirthless laugh escaped my lips, an involuntary reflex born of disbelief, but the unyielding resolve in his voice bore no trace of jest. Slowly, deliberately, he rose from his seat, allowing me to egress. He followed me with unnerving tenacity as I embarked on a brisk jog toward my connecting gate. For what felt like an eternity, we traversed the labyrinthine corridors of the airport, my heart pounding in dread as I stole furtive glances over my shoulder, only to find him doggedly pursuing me. A sense of impending doom hung heavy in the air, a palpable malevolence that clung to my every step. Finally, we reached the gate of my connecting flight, and I approached the attendants, my voice quivering as I recounted my plight, attempting to maintain a semblance of composure. Their initial skepticism gave way to apprehension as they beheld the desperation etched upon my countenance. They requested to inspect our boarding passes, and I reluctantly surrendered mine. To my astonishment, my sinister pursuer did the same. A sense of impending dread swelled within me, my heart's cadence mimicking the frenetic thrum of a raven's wings. With whispered urgency, the gate attendants orchestrated my expedited boarding, sealing the aircraft's hatch before my pursuer could breach the sanctity of the plane's interior. I was ensconced within the aircraft's confines, separated from the malevolent specter by a mere matter of inches. As the remaining passengers filed onto the plane, a fellow traveler seated behind me ventured to inquire about the ordeal. I related my spine-chilling encounter, and her response sent a shiver coursing down my spine. "Yeah," she murmured, her voice fraught with trepidation. "That guy had a complete and total freak-out the second you got on the plane. He was screaming and practically tearing his hair out. The police were called to take him away." The revelation left me staggered, my mind reeling at the precipice upon which I had unwittingly teetered. The enigmatic traveler who had shadowed my every step had harbored intentions far more malevolent than my most sinister imaginings. It became evident that he grappled with profound psychological afflictions, and I could only hope that the forces of benevolence and compassion would intervene to offer him the help he so desperately required. As the aircraft hurtled toward the safety of home, I found solace in the knowledge that I had narrowly escaped the clutches of a malevolence lurking in the most unexpected of places, an airport, a setting not commonly associated with the shadowy realms of Stephen King's chilling tales. Thanks for joining us on this spine-tingling journey at Documented Creeps. If you crave more eerie tales, real-life encounters, and mysteries that defy explanation, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.